Hello, everybody. This is s03e's podcast, third season, first episode. And we have a great guest. Yeah, Vladimir, hi. And we have a really great guest today. It's Natalia. Probably you might already know her from her blog, or maybe from her book, or even maybe from her work on one of those frameworks which we are now using a lot. But welcome, Natalia.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
By the way, Danis, why do we meet on March 9th?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this episode airs at the same time on March 8 and March 9, which is fun. And we're also recording it on both of these dates. Yeah, so Natalia is from New Zealand and they already have March 9th. Yeah, we might probably record it a little bit earlier. But this, as probably already guessed, this episode is dedicated to International Women's Day. And now I see it's like more recognized as International Women's Day. Like it's more and more people paying attention to this, and companies do some internal events promoting female engineers and engineers from the perspective of the company we are working in, IT engineering. But I think like many companies are recognizing this holiday and doing their events on this. So we will be doing the episode on this too, and surely we will talk about how you got into IT and what's your view on the situation in the industry, and how do you feel being an engineer in this community, and like does it actually work?
So you spoiled all the questions.
Hopefully no. And for those of you who are watching us live or listening, bring your questions, we will ask them. And I think we definitely need to start with the most maybe obvious question, but still interesting. Natalia, how did you get into IT? Like what was driving you into software development?
Yeah, it's like a long story for me. I'll try to make it short. So the first step I took towards learning to program is started to learn computational linguistics. And I did it for one semester. And that's how I had to learn Java and Python. And the programming there was mostly focused on fundamentals like algorithms, data structures. We also did some more specific computational linguistic stuff with studied regex and things like this. And after that, I got a job in a company in Paris. And the job was for a macOS app. It was like a HTTP client for Mac called POR. It used to be called POR, and now it's for
Rapid API.
Yeah. Now it's called Rapid API. And I was doing lots of different things. It was because I was super junior. All I had is less than half a year studying basics of the fundamentals of programming. So I was just basically learning on the job, and I was doing customer support for developers, and I was writing extensions in JavaScript because the POR is native macOS, but extensions can be written in JavaScript, code generators or importers, exporters. Some dynamic values. It has dynamic values where you can, insert the JWT or something, or do some kind of auth thing. So those small things are in JavaScript.
So disclaimer, it's free now. Please grab a copy right now.
And then I slowly transitioned into helping with the web front end as well in React. So I basically started to learn React before I learned the fundamentals of HTML and CSS. It was really hard, but I had help, and I was just trying different things and doing that. But then it was still quite hard for me to sort of progress because I felt like I was lacking some fundamentals. So I found a programming bootcamp in web development called Le Wagon, and I went to Portugal to do the course. and studied Ruby on Rails, but I thought it's transferable anyway. I can like decide if I want to carry the Ruby on Rails after that, or just like go back to doing like React front end or something. So I did that. It was really helpful. Mostly, I think, for just to realizing that it's okay not knowing things, and you can like search for them, and you don't have to like just know everything to do the job straight away. So that definitely sort of helped me, and then I was much more confident after the course. And just like meeting people who have sort of similar backgrounds. They're not like originally, they didn't study tech, like they didn't study programming at uni, but they want to transition. So the building that network is helpful too. So I was thinking whether I should continue with web front end or maybe do full stack. And then with my partner, we had an idea for an app. It was like, basically we both worked at POR and we had customer requests for WebSocket support, but like POR didn't really like, it didn't like really fit in how like POR was designed. So we thought maybe we can, like there is demand, maybe we can write a tool for that on the side. And we tried doing like an iOS app in React Native, because like neither of us had any experience in native iOS development, and it just like wasn't working out. Like we tried and it was just like not good. So we thought, okay, well maybe we should learn together iOS development. So that's how I started to learn Swift, which is like some online courses. And I really liked Swift, and I was like, wow, it's so clean compared to like Ruby on Rails, like Ruby or JavaScript. And I really liked that it was strictly typed. It was like, I had like a clearer picture of what I was doing, especially like the very first language I learned was Java. So I was like, wow, that's a bit similar and I can like it in that way. So yeah, I was like, okay, maybe it's the direction I should go in. And I started just like writing some small apps myself. And then I thought maybe I should like look for jobs in different companies to see like if I can learn better in a team. And in the end, like I was like writing apps by myself, applying for jobs, and it was going on for a bit, and we ended up in New Zealand in the end. So my first job as an iOS developer in a company was in New Zealand, but I was still like ended up doing other things as well, like Node.js was like a thing, and AngularJS. So it's like the very first version of Angular, but I was still doing iOS, which was great. Yeah, it was back then I was UI kid. So I got to do that, but no Objective-C. So like I started with Swift straight away, and I had to learn Objective-C much later, just to sort of be able to read it and yeah, just integrate it. But not really like.
Yeah.
I have never written like an app fully in Objective-C, and I don't think I'm able to.
Well, I mean, you already mentioned that like there was no Swift UI at that time, right?
Yeah.
Well, we already like mentioned that you had some experience with Swift UI from the other side. We will not be asking any like questions which are related to the NDA topics, that's for sure. But I don't know, how do you personally feel about Swift UI? I mean, is it like from the user, I mean, the developer perspective, like what's the story about it? And did it change when you like were working on it and then you were just using it? And like we see a lot of posts on the Swift UI from you on some features of charts or like any other things which are like.
Yeah. So obviously I really like it. Because like, I wouldn't have worked on it if I didn't like it. But yeah, so I started using Swift UI straight away as soon as it came out, because it sort of correlated with me leaving my job here in New Zealand and thinking maybe I should open my own company to like do some freelancing and do some apps on the side. And Swift UI just came out, so I left my job at maybe in July, and Swift UI like that year Swift UI came out. So I just like started learning it straight away and thought maybe I'll just like it's like I'm working on my own. I'll just write apps that support this like new iOS version and write them fully in Swift UI, because like I don't have like customers who need supporting all the versions or anything like that. So yeah, that's how I started learning it and experimenting with it. It was quite raw the first year, so I had to do like lots of workarounds. And I started a blog this way as well, because like I wanted to share what I was learning, and like everyone else was learning at the same time. So yeah, it was quite great. And yeah, after this like year of me making apps in SwiftUI, trying to make apps in SwiftUI, the SwiftUI team reached out and they said that they like my blog and maybe I would like to join them. And I said, yes, of course, I would like to join you. That's how I ended up on the SwiftUI team. Well, I interviewed, of course, and everything. But yeah, that's how they found me.
So this is one of the steps how to get into some interesting projects. You need to do a really good blog.
Blog or anything else, like just like share what you do so that people see what you're doing, see what your interests are, and maybe they will reach out to you.
I don't think which Apple framework I want to.
I think Vladimir, you will be one of those who will be promoting Rust for Apple.
yeah, sure. 100%.
Yeah, Vladimir is our fan of Rust language, and therefore we have a couple of internal jokes about that. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
By the way, have you tried writing for yourself something in SwiftUI for Mac? Not for iOS, but for Mac.
Yeah. Well, like I have a project which is like that WebSocket client that we keep like writing and rewriting, and now we took it off, took it out of the App Store because it broke again with the new OS release. So this client is iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. But like it has a lot of navigation things, so it's like we have to rewrite it basically almost every year. And we just like we're working on like our other app, which is like more like a drawing app for iPad. So we didn't have time to rewrite it just before the release, and it was not working so well with the new OS version either on iPad or on the Mac. So we just took it out of the App Store, and we're thinking if we have time, we'll go back to it again. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, SwiftUI navigation always somewhere close.
Well, I would say that the new navigation approach, which was introduced like last summer, it's really improved things. I mean, it was something which is now something which would you expect, because like the first releases, there was like you could not navigate through like for multiple screens or model presentations, and now it's much easier.
Yeah, for sure. And like just from the point of structuring your code is easy as well, because before it was like really like you had to pass bindings inside the navigation link, so there was like a lot of issues related to that.
Yeah. I don't know again how much would you be able to share, but are there any ideas or maybe like guides to those who want to create like widely used frameworks? Any insights which you can share, like how to design the framework which can be used by millions? I don't know. I mean, probably millions. I don't know how many developers are there for.
I don't know if there's like a big difference designing like a framework that's used for like some people and designing a framework that's multiple. It's more like you have to think that you probably won't be able like to change the API once it goes into the framework, because like just like changing deprecating APIs every year is not great, especially when it's used by so many people. So on the SwiftUI team, we spent a lot of time just like thinking and iterating on the API before it goes into the framework. And there's like a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, trying to hear like all the people what they think. Like we start first like with the concept, how it should work, what problems it's trying to solve. Then like how it's going to be implemented exactly, what's like the structure of the API, and then we iterate on the naming again, like many times. Like and it was like a lot of back and forth. Yeah. A lot of back and forth, but like to the point that like everyone is now like happy, or at least like content with what we have, so that we're like happy to put it in the framework, because we can't just like take it out of the framework. We have to support it, at least like even if we change the name and deprecate the old name, we still have to like support what we already put in there.
Right. It's speaking of naming, I just recalled there was a couple of I believe it was Mastodon threads in regards like the inset usage in UIKit, like the inset. There are a lot of insets for one single UI view. It was like people struggling to get familiar with all of those. So yeah, I believe the naming is definitely something you need to take care of.
But I would say that inset's much better than using margins or paddings, because I never remember what is for in HTML.
Which are paddings, which are margins. I think that the next question. So the next question actually comes from Vladimir and from me also. Like, we see that a lot of companies now leaning towards hybrid, at least, work environments. Some people trying to get people back into the office. What's your view on this? I mean, you worked with different layouts. From your perspective, what's more efficient? And again, like, not just for you as a developer, but rather like you have some entrepreneurship as well. Like, do you feel that one of the approaches is better for the whole business, or like what's your view on how people should work? Fully remote, hybrid, office?
Yeah, I think it's like a difficult question because like different needs of companies and people at the same time. So I think like in the ideal situation, workers can just like choose where it's best for them to work. So like for me, for example, personally, if I was close to an office, I would probably go a few times a week, just like to change how, like, the environment where I work, to interact with people in person. But like, I wouldn't move somewhere. Like, I wouldn't move to a specific location just to go to the office. Like, for me, it's more important the location, like where I live. Yeah. So like, that's why, like, personally, I prefer being remote or having the option to go to the office if you can. But like, ideally, I think companies should accommodate for both, and like either have an office where people can go if they can't. Like, some people just can't work from home because of whatever situation they have, and some people can't maybe physically go to the office because, or like, emotionally it's harder for them to work in the office when there are other people that can't focus. Like, there are different kinds of people, different kinds of situations, and like, if the company can either like have an office where people can come, either like for meetings or just like when they feel like they have to work from the office, or just provide maybe co-working spaces if they don't have an office location, but also allow people to work from home if it's if it's what's best for them. That would be ideal.
But in your answer, you're focusing more about like a space where you work. But what about communication between people in the team?
Yeah, I think for many things, it's easier to be in person, just to like, because like sometimes in writing, you can misunderstand things, you can like have to like clarify things. So you don't see like how people gesture, like how they so like you miss on a lot of clues. So like sometimes it's harder to communicate. So that's why I think like maybe meetings are easier in person sometimes, but also like for some things, asynchronous communication is maybe better, especially like if you're just like working on some programming task and you just like need time to just like to do it yourself and then ask questions later when you like, and you maybe some questions are easier asked in writing because, well, you can spend time on formulating the question, you can like attach code samples or something. So yeah, I think it really depends like what sort of problem is being solved. If it's like a meeting, a planning meeting, or you're like trying to solve some issue that's better communicated like straight away and talked over, or it's like just a question about like some programming assignment that you can just write it in an email or whatever, or a Slack thread, and that'd be asynchronous. So like the other person also has time to like read it, understand it in their time, and maybe write you like a code sample or something.
Danis, you said that you are not so far from Apple Park. Could you say then that we probably need some, I don't know, pair programming tooling in Xcode to work together? Because I really like this.
Yeah. So, by the way, it seems that Apple already, I mean, we are speaking, Natalia probably will not be able to join us with this case, but Apple already created one tool which like focuses on collaborative work, like the Freeform, which is available on Mac, iPad, and it's like, there are other tools like, I don't know, Miro probably might be the closest, but Freeform is already there and it's free, and like, I think Apple is at least sees this as something which they can work on. But again, yeah, maybe something like for the developers, like working together on the code. But listening to Natalia, I also thinking that the one thing which like real communication, like in-person communication, like benefits with is like actual gestures and something which you might skip when you're even seeing, but using WebEx or Teams or whatever. So it's something which is like you slightly not really in person. And I don't know if any like technologies could actually fix that. So I still think some in-person communications are needed. And I actually felt that, yeah, as a developers, we can work fully remotely. Like we can work from home. That's one of the benefits being, I know, software developer, probably. I mean, not every profession can do that, but we can. But even with that, you still probably want some human interaction from time to time, at least. So
by the way, I see your gestures. So one main point, please turn on cameras on meetings.
Yeah, at least I think that's something you should be doing. I mean, it's better to see actual people there, and that's closest which we could get while working fully remotely. Okay, I think we have we know that you attended one of the Apple's event now, which is event program probably it's called. That's the Apple Camp for entrepreneurs and for female entrepreneurs specifically. Can you share like what it is and what's your experience from that? Again, probably there might be something which you can share, but at least some things which you actually can share about this program and how you personally felt about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's a program called Apple Entrepreneur Camp, and they run different cohorts to support minorities in tech and in our app-focused businesses. So they have a cohort for Black founders and developers, Hispanic founders and developers, and female founders and developers. And everyone can apply who has an app or is working on an app. And they have some like acceptance criteria, like your company should have a like for example, for the female cohort, they have criteria. Your company should have a female founder, female developer, and you can bring one other person, like one other developer from the company. And yeah, this year was like fully remote. So that like the intense part was just for 1 week, last week, where we had like meetings, discussions every day. And being in New Zealand for me, it was like 4 a.m. in the mornings mostly. It was quite hard, but yeah, extremely useful because we had like sessions where Apple experts shared some insights with us, for example, about PR marketing for our apps, about how to talk about apps, like demo our apps. Then we had sessions with technical support engineers who just like provided one-on-one code help for us. We had design reviews for our apps, like with Apple designers who like give us tips on how to improve things. And so it was like incredibly helpful. And but like after that, Apple still provides us ongoing support for at least like 1 year. We have a partnership manager who just like helps us with our different like questions we might have about developing our app, putting it on the App Store, promoting it on the App Store. So yeah, I definitely would encourage people to apply if they qualify.
Great. And like for your company, for your apps, do you feel it's like it's actually helping? So did you actually hear something which were targeting specifically your situation?
Yeah, for sure. Because we also had like one-on-one meetings, not just like group meetings. And so basically we went there with our drawing app for iPad. And it's like a unique app where you don't draw like, we don't try to imitate any physical medium. So it's not like a pencil or a brush. It's like a brush we design that creates like shapes as you stroke. And like you can guide it. So you can you sort of control what type of shape it's going to create depending on the speed and like the noise setting of the brush. But some of the agency is like assigned to the app, so the app will have some sort of say in what you create. So it can help like to get past the creative block and just like experiment with things and like just create art if you don't have like a strict like a very explicit idea what you're like going for in the end. So like for people who maybe struggle with more traditional drawing apps where you have to maybe have a plan of what you're going to create straight away. And we thought about this app as like a drawing, just like a different type of a drawing app. And that's how we communicated it to people. And for many, it was like sort of hard to understand how they could use it. And with like through the sessions with Apple, we realized that it's more like a creativity tool. So we should communicate upfront, like that you sort of collaborate with the app to create the final result. Because like maybe some people were trying to get more finer control, but it's not like what the app is for. The app is for like more like sort of exploring ideas and getting inspired by like the shapes you see. So I think like Apple helped us to sort of define the user expectations for our app. So this way we can like structure our work better and like plan features in a better way, because like we have a better focus on what's like going on, and they help us like define it and like just like to ask the right questions from ourselves first, like what the product is and who it's for, and like where to take it further. So it's definitely like helped us to plan better for the future, how we develop the app further.
Yeah,
sounds awesome. Okay, so I would ask the next question. So, according to your like path in IT, you participated in many different development communities. So, yeah, very interesting question. So, do you feel that these communities are inclusive? And especially, let's talk about iOS community.
Yeah, I think it really depends on like the specific community. We could certainly do better in all of them for sure. And like from my personal experience, like for me, it's been improving since like I think I like started programming like maybe 8 years ago or something like that. So over this time, things improved a lot. At least like from my point of view, I'm not sure if it's because I'm like in different communities now, or because things are actually improving for everyone, or because like as I'm getting more senior, it's probably easier for me to navigate in those communities as well. But yeah, like I feel that they are inclusive for me, and I hope it's the experience for most people, but it's probably not the case. So that's why I think we should definitely do better and listen for more people, for junior developers as well, how like welcome they feel in those communities, and for other like minorities, not just like white. Maybe we shouldn't just ask white women about like what they feel, but like other women and people. Yeah, the more perspectives we have, the better we can do.
Yeah, agree. Dennis, would you like to ask the next question? Yeah. We cannot hear you.
Oops. Yeah, that happens. I mean, sorry about that. So yeah, you already actually started answering that particular part, but is there any, like, maybe can we get into more specific, like, do you feel what can be done to improve the communications? Like, is it just the community part, or maybe, I don't know, companies should step in here? And honestly, I see that Apple actually does a lot in terms of making the development communities more inclusive. I was like these Apple camps, entrepreneur camps, and other programs. They have a couple of events happening when they promote work of underrepresented communities. But do you feel, is there anything else which we can do? I mean, what would help you if other people in the communities do better? Like,
I think like firstly we should be like more welcoming to new people, and just like encourage more people to join, to try, even like beginners or people who might consider tech but are not sure yet. Because like I was thinking that if like someone encouraged me maybe to try like to learn to program earlier, I could have started earlier. But like I sort of had to come to this point that maybe it could be for me, but I never thought like I could. I never thought that I could just like start the program and actually find a job in development. So I think we should definitely encourage like more different people to join, to try to try to program, try learning new things and be welcoming. Then ask for input from different perspectives, like see what we can improve, and listen to people as well. And if they have any problems, like try to solve them, or at least amplify their voices. Like if you see like someone is tweeting about some kind of problem, at least like try retweeting it, sharing it, and maybe like talk to your like friends or whoever like you're working with, how you can help together. Share the work of the people, especially like if you like a piece of work, like a book or website, an app by someone who is underrepresented, like from an underrepresented group, just like share it, tell everyone else that it's like a really good product. Because I think like unfortunately sometimes like for like other men to try some other like product that may be good, but from like a woman or other underrepresented founder or developer, they have to be told by another man that it's good, you know. So like just like if you like something, just like share their work, and support them how you can.
By the way, we will share the links to the apps and to the book which you actually created. So
it wasn't a hint, you know?
Yeah, but it's still like it's actually like the next question in my list here. it's actually about the book. We talked about your path into the development part and your work on the like very interesting things. And by the way, your career path is just like amazing from totally different perspectives. So you were like web more or less development, and like you did a lot of different things, and then now it's Swift, and your book is about the Swift UI and UIKit, and which is now probably very important topic because we still have a lot of UIKit apps, and we probably want to go towards Swift UI, but we sometimes might not have enough time to rewrite everything. So the book is actually about how to integrate Swift UI into UIKit. So my question here might be more: did you learn something yourself when you started writing a book, and like what's moved you to become a book writer, book author?
Yeah, for sure. I learned a lot because like it was my first book I ever wrote, and like the idea was, I was thinking how I can like sort of make Swift UI more accessible for a wider audience, because like it's great when you can just like start a new project and experiment yourself, but what can you do if you already have projects and you just like don't have the opportunity to rewrite them? Maybe like you don't need to because they're great, but you want to maybe add some new features, for like companies who have like large apps and they just want to like rewrite one small part or just like integrate new features into like an older app. So I thought it would be great great topic to write a book about, because there's a lot, and this way I could like structure my knowledge and my thoughts in like in a sort of more coherent way rather than just like writing blog articles, because like it's always like for blog articles it's always like, where do I start? Do I start from the very beginning? Do I start like there and then direct people to other resources? With the book I could like start from the very beginning, so I could like focus on UIKit developers. So like it starts with just like introduction to Swift UI and then helps you to identify ways you can integrate it into your existing project. And from the learning perspective, I definitely learned like how to write a book, you know, all this like tooling around that, and like how you can like convert Markdown into EPUB and PDF and things like this. But also, right from the technical point of view, like there were a few things that I had to like research and experiment with, because like I had this like project in mind, a sample project, and some things weren't like working as I expected they would. So I had to experiment and find ways. For example, I did a lot of things about like sizing views, like when you like embed a Swift UI view, how do you like size it? How do you make sure like the UIKit like leaves it enough space? For example, when they use the switches, their text size and like things like this. So this was through just experimentation that I found ways to do that. So I shared that in the book as well. So yeah, definitely was great for me as well, for just like structuring my thoughts and maybe filling some gaps in my experience and knowledge as well.
Do you plan to continue this with some new books in the future?
Yes, for sure, because it was useful for me, and I think it's great as well to just contribute to the community in this way. And I have this idea about writing a book related to Swift charts, because I've been experimenting quite a lot with Swift charts. I think it's a really great framework and has great potential. So, but yeah, it's on the early stages, and like the previous book about integrated Swift UI and UI kit, I wrote just in a few months, just after I left Apple. But now I have a lot going on, I have apps and things like this. So I think this book will take longer, and also still figuring out what's the best way to structure it to sort of be most helpful. But yeah, definitely have some work to do there. But yeah, the idea is there, and somewhere I'm doing on the research at the moment and collecting materials.
Nice. Yeah, we will be waiting.
Need to think about any ideas for books. Probably we are also good authors, but we haven't revealed us yet.
Okay.
And yeah, just to think, maybe what was the hardest thing in writing a book? I mean, but from what I've heard, it may be the structuring part, but maybe anything else? I mean, it's your first book, right? And what was hard for you in order to actually do that? Write a book in a couple of months, even it's just technical book, and some people I don't know might still write it much longer. This is really huge to write a book in a couple of months and make it available. It's just, I don't know, from my perspective, it's amazing. I was thinking about that, and I'm not just that I have some idea, but it still would take me probably a year to do everything. So what can you give maybe as an advice to those who potentially want to start writing something into longer than tweets or even blog posts?
Yeah, I could write it so fast because I had time, so I just did that. I was just writing. It was winter here in New Zealand, so it was not nice to go for walks. It's it gets dark at 4 p.m. when it's winter. So just at home writing my book. I think it was maybe about maybe it was 3 months, maybe not 2 months, but yeah. So I had the time. So don't worry if you don't have the time to write it in 3 months. It's not normal. Take a year to however much time you need. Just start with blog post and see what kind of topic do you want to develop further? What topic could benefit from a more structured approach, from taking it from the beginning and developing it further, and start writing. Think about it as a structured selection of blog posts, basically. That have the beginning and you can think of you can chapter as a blog post, but it has to build upon the previous chapter and take it further somewhere after that. And just share what would be useful for you, try to remember how you learned this topic and what would be helpful for you, and just share the same thing with others.
How to become a Rust developer if you're an iOS developer?
I think
why not?
I think yes, by the way. Yeah, Vladimir, I will definitely encourage that, and I will probably read that book. I mean, I'm also looking into Rust more and more, but I still prefer Swift syntax there. So it's honestly, you look into Rust and you see where Swift will go, but probably with some slightly better syntax. I mean, that's my feeling of Rust right now. So it's
I still believe that this borrowing model for memory management is one of the best parts of Rust. And I remember that in Swift community were talks about adopting this approach as well instead of using ARC. And I believe that this will make Swift much more complex, but much more comfortable and much safer for us.
Yeah, probably. Speaking of this future, so I have we have two more topics here, and the first one will be we know that probably you look on WWDC in with different eyes. I mean, like you know it from different perspectives. But now you're a developer, which like probably also sees WWDC as some really cool event which happens in the beginning of summer here in California. Like, do you still weight it as something exciting, or like you already like know it from the other side, so it's like slightly less appealing, or like what's your view on this like company big events for the developers?
Yeah, definitely excited about it, and I think it's more exciting on the outside because on the inside it's extremely stressful, and like you get so tired that you just like at least for my experience that like I was too tired to be excited, even though like I was going to share like my work, but like by that time it was just a lot and quite stressful as well. So on the outside you can be just like expecting new things, and it's like a fun event, and yes, definitely looking forward. And there's always like surprises. Even the year when I worked at Apple, the WWDC was still full of surprises for me because like we don't know like what other teams are doing, and yeah, for sure. And also like the second like WWDC last year, it was just like 1 month after I left Apple, so I was excited to see what happened to my work, like what kind of shape it took before.
What have you done with my work?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And the last summer they had actually like in-person event, at least like one day. It was at Apple Park, and it was cool. Like we were able to see like the teams there, so it was really nice. And there are still hopes that maybe this year there will be still in person. Do you think if like they will announce the in-person WWDC, do you think like getting here for the WWDC in person, or it's like you don't see that as important part of the conference? I mean.
Yeah, maybe, not sure, but I would definitely love to just like go in person and meet everyone. But for me, it's every time like, okay, how long will it take for me to get there from New Zealand? And then like maybe I'll go with my husband together because like then we can like maybe travel in the US because we are flying such a long way. But then what do we do with our dog? We have to arrange like someone to look after our dog. And like every time we want to go somewhere to some conference or like that, we think about all of that, and we're like, okay, maybe next time because like it's just like a lot of things to plan. So maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, I would definitely love to, but there's a lot of like other complications around that.
Yeah. Well, again, when we record this episode, we still don't know what will happen with WWDC. So last year, I believe they announced the everything in April, I think, like in the beginning of April, something like that. So it's like we probably somewhere in a month time until the announcement. So yeah, we will hope that there will be something here happening. And I spoke to my friend recently, and they said like probably for you it will be slightly less exciting now because you don't have to fly there. So it's like you live close, and that might take some part of the excitement of the event. I don't know. I mean, like I was really excited last year, and when I was able to just 1 hour drive instead of 1 day flight to the conference, and it was still fun and exciting. But maybe there is something about that when you're getting there, and there's some part of the travel and to get to the conference rather than being able to just walk there. Not sure.
Oh, you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Before we go into the last question, I have my last question. So you shared a lot of stuff that you learned about like writing book and how to structure it, but probably you have something to share. Where do you find new information about iOS development? What are your favorite blogs, books, whatever?
Yeah, I read a lot about like from other authors. I'm probably subscribed to all of the newsletters in the community. So at least like I don't have a lot of time to read everything, but I at least like skim through every newsletter. I think every week just to see like, oh, this article, like I might learn something from it. So I go read it further. And yeah, so that's how I discover blogs mostly through newsletters. And or like when I have a problem and I search for it online. And books as well. I buy a lot of books. I don't read all of the books I buy, but I always think, okay, I might need it in the future, so I'll go and buy it. From the prominent blogs I read is Hacking with Swift by Paul Hudson. Like it's how I learned Swift UI. Basically, I learned from this blog at first, and then Swift by Sandel as well. And then there is Tanashita blog I quite like as well. But yeah, many, like, to be honest, I like them all, and like it's great, really great to have different like perspectives, different articles, because they always cover like topics in slightly different ways, and slightly differently. So it's really great to have as many as possible.
Diversity. Yeah.
My last question here would be on the future as well. And currently we see a lot of attention to ML, artificial intelligence, and especially the generative models like ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion. These, like, and from what I hear, I think maybe you have something to say here as well, because your app, which you like just recently described, it should help you overcome your like creative block, and maybe like these models can do something like that as well. I mean, what do you think about this like hype over this ML, and especially in like this ChatGPT and maybe Stable Diffusion, like the Midjourney model, which draws something from what you like you type something and it draws some image. Like this is also something which seems to be having attention, but do you think it's something like where are we here? Like, is it the beginning of something big, or like how do you think?
Yeah, I think those are like really great advances, and I hope that they can be used in like a really good ways as well. They're already used, right? Like I think like voice recognition technologies are just like amazing, and like help a lot of people. Like for some people just convenience, but for some people it's like they actually improve their quality of life as well, for like different accessibility use cases, and like for some like to take some sort of repetitive task from humans as well, or some tasks humans probably wouldn't be able to do at all themselves. It's just like some great use cases for some medical purposes maybe as well, for like help diagnosing diseases, at least like on the like the first stage of the diagnosis. I guess I'm not sure how exactly it works in the medical sphere, but I think that there are really like good use cases, like current and potential as well. But I think we have to like also be careful. Sometimes maybe like not to trust it 100%. Understand that like there can be mistakes. Like this like software can be compromised. There can be like mistakes made by people who train like the machine learning models, or like there can be biases that they sort of contributed themselves into these algorithms, and that's why it's like not that great maybe for some things. So I don't think we should think, oh, this is like perfect thing and we just like trust it fully 100%, but there are definitely things that can be done that are good, I think. And same like with ChatGPT, I used it once myself for just like some ideas about how like to describe the app, and we ended up not using anything from there. But I think it's like could be like a good starting point for like when you have like a blank screen and you don't know, like you have to write some piece or something, and like don't know where to start. Maybe it can help you to like just have something where you can like build a font. You don't have to use that exact like phrasing in the end, but maybe it can be helpful there. Like I won't use it myself for like generating code, because I just like don't trust in this way. But if for some people it's like helpful again to just like get past some kind of block, then yeah, why not?
I found the perfect appliance for this, for writing annual feedback. So instead of manually typing, okay, this guy done perfectly. Please say that he done perfectly in 3 sentences. Thanks.
Yeah. My experience with ChatGPT was kind of, it was interesting to see that it constructs the proper sentences, but it was saying incorrect things in all cases when I tried to use it with the specific queries. I mean, like it knows how to like construct the proper, I don't know, paragraph of text, but it used wrong facts there. And that was like, okay, probably not for me as well. I mean, it's my requests were specific, and probably like the training data which they had, it didn't have enough information for that. But still, like as a user, I was like, yeah, well, it can talk, but it basically says wrong things. and that's
As many
probably,
juniors.
yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, with this, I would just probably think that we need to thank you again for coming for our show. And again, hopefully all your endeavors, like your new apps, will be soon available. We will definitely keep an eye, and we will definitely be reading the blog, and we'll be waiting for the next books as well. I mean, seeing the work you're doing on charts and in the blog, I mean, it's probably will be a great book as well. We have, by the way, one comment. Let us probably even show it here on the ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT can be used for some purposes, and I think that's probably a great idea to use it when you need to create a text which actually sells or has some proper wording. But you need to control your facts yourself, and you need to be in control what you take from that.
Yeah, but one last thing I can say that you definitely have to try GitHub Copilot, because recently I found that I have free access to it. Oh, come on, it's so cool. So it's just a code completion of the future, because it really helps to avoid writing, mapping between one data structure to another data structure. It fills all switches, etc., without any code from my side. This is perfect.
That's great.
Yeah. With that, so use these models wisely. try. I think that would be the good summary of this talk on the email. Natalia, thank you very much for coming, and all listeners, viewers, thank you for coming here for the live stream. If you're watching us live, thank you. Please type something in YouTube. I don't know, the subscribe button, everything. Like there are a couple of things. We're still new with this YouTube thing, being 3 seasons here. And if you're listening us on your podcast app, just try to spend a little bit of your time to give us a rating and a review. Thank you.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.